Good evening, everyone. Hello. We are live. Welcome to Questions Worth Pondering. I don't have an intro video tonight, but it's a special night. We are going to do a part 2 interview with Danean. And last time we chatted with her, we talked about prison life. And tonight we're going to talk about January 6th. We're going to talk about that day and ask her some questions about it. Hey, Herbie, I see you in chat. It's good to see you. So with that, we're just going to go ahead and get started. Let me bring Danean on and welcome, Danean.
Hey,
Hey.
thanks for having me on.
Yeah, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm excited to be here and tell my story. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, it has been. It has been. Yeah, I have a few questions for you, and then we can have you share whatever you want from that day. But let's go back in time to January 6th, 2021. Now, I know you attended that day, but let's start before that. Like, what inspired you to want to attend January 6th?
Um, so so I took care of my elderly parents for several years and
Oh,
until they went to heaven. And so I was totally tuned out of politics for several years while I spent my time running my business and caring for them. So it wasn't until the lockdown started that I began to get involved in politics. I hadn't been for many years and never really was like after 9/11, I worked the polls and stuff like that, and I would keep up on local politics, but I wasn't really political. And then Gavin locked us all down. Newsom locked us down, and I had a temporary job at the census during that time. I was a field supervisor, and they shut us down, and I wasn't able to see a lot of my friends. A lot of my friends are elderly, and I wasn't able to see people from my Bible study group or anything like that, except I was
that
shopping
was
for
so
them.
hard. That was
Yeah,
so
it was,
hard.
the lockdowns were harsh here. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were bad everywhere, but California, I think, was particularly bad. So, my church had shut down. I was shopping for my elderly friends once a week. I was doing their grocery shopping. I did that for 16 elderly people in my life for months during the
Mm-hmm.
lockdowns and after. So that's when I started to, I guess, say, get political, if you want to call it that. I was so frustrated. We were locked down. So I heard that there were, I wasn't on social media either. So I had heard that there were Reopen California rallies in Huntington Beach, which is about a half an hour from my house. So I made a sign, a big giant sign, and it said freedom over fear. And I went out there and I started attending rallies. I had taken my mask off um, in late April, I guess, maybe the first week of May of 2020. So very, very soon after the lockdowns began. And I was getting kicked out of stores and things like that. It was very frustrating. So I would
Yeah.
attend the Reopen California rallies, and uh, and I was at one of them, and there was a podcaster. Her name is Fog City Midge, and she wanted to interview me. She liked my sign, and she said, "I want to interview you about why you support President Trump." And I said, "Well, what makes you think I do?" And she said, "Well, because you're here." I said, "Yeah, no, I don't really think I'm the right one for that interview." She said, "Why don't you support him?" And I didn't have an answer. And so I started going back over his speeches. I listened to his inaugural address. I started listening more intently with an open ear to all of his daily COVID. He would have those press conferences daily.
Sure.
And I realized that because I had tuned out of politics, just, the background noise of who Trump was in my ear. And I never spent time to actually listen to him for myself without his voice going through a filter. So once I did, I decided actually I do support President Trump. So I started going not only to the reopen rallies in Huntington, but I started going up to Beverly Hills because every weekend there would be a pro-Trump rally in Beverly Hills, and it would get up to thousands of people. It was very big rallies every weekend. So every weekend from the first week of May all the way through the election, I was at a rally every single weekend. I wasn't on social media until there was a meme of me that went viral. My friend told me, "Hey, there's a meme of you that went viral. You should probably check it out." So
Yeah, of you?
yeah, I re-enabled my Twitter account. I'll have to find it. I'll post it to my channel or
Oh, you
Twitter or
should.
something.
What was the meme though that went
It
viral?
was of uh, so I had another sign that LA Times captured a picture of me carrying. It said churches are essential. It was a big sign, and so it was that meme where like Don Lemon is doing like a high five or like a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Remember those memes? And
Yeah.
so it was all about like the city burning, and he'd be, you know, thumbs up, and then uh, the CNN building being attacked with a thumbs up, and then me holding my churches are essential sign with a thumbs down. And
Oh.
and so my friend said, you know, this you're in this viral meme. You should probably check it out. So I re-enabled a Twitter account I had had years prior in 2009, but never went on it. So
Mhm.
anyway, that's how I got onto social media. So during that time, uh, so the lockdowns to the election, I also got to go to Bullhead City, Arizona, to a actual Trump rally, which was a ton of fun. And like every time I went to a rally, it felt like going somewhere where like it was this giant party with all your friends you haven't met yet. Like the vibe was so good.
So
And
are
everybody was just
those
welcoming and generous and hospitable and helpful and friendly and funny, and just the vibe was so good, and it just nourished my soul after, you know, being locked down, you know, for so
sure.
long. And it I guess, I mean, when I tell that story, people say, "Oh, well, it gave you a sense of community." Well, I'm not sure that was really it. It just felt like fresh air.
Yeah.
Is the best
Yeah.
way I could
I
explain it.
totally get it because I hear people say that too, and I'm like, yeah, that's it's different. It's different than community. So
Yeah.
is it getting into those and starting to attend rallies? What made you decide to go all the way from California to DC?
So my family was very scared of COVID, and so they said if you want to come to, I live an hour from them. They said if you want to come to Thanksgiving or Christmas, you have to wear a mask. And I said I'm
Oh,
not going to wear a mask. So I didn't have Thanksgiving or Christmas with my family,
wow.
which was very hard. I love my family and they love me, but they were frightened. So I didn't go there and cause a scene and be like, you know, I'm not going to wear a mask. I'm not that girl, you know. So anyway, I needed something to look forward to. So I think it was December 23rd. I decided I'm going to go to the rally in DC. I need something to look forward to, and
Did
that's
you
how
go
I
by
decided to go.
yourself?
Yeah, yeah, so I
Oh,
flew
okay.
out from California to DC. I've been to all 50 states and I've done probably 38 of them alone. I like to travel alone, so it wasn't a big deal. And I knew I was going to what I describe as a party with friends I haven't met yet. So I knew I would meet nice people, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I flew out there on the 3rd. I got there late at night, and the 4th, I rented a scooter and I went sightseeing all over the mall and things like that. It was very fun.
I
And
bet that
then the
was cool.
5th,
Yeah.
it was like rainy and really cold and not good weather, like drizzly, not rainy. And so I watched some speeches out front of SCOTUS on in the afternoon, and then at night I went back out, and there was an area where people like Flynn were speaking and Poso and a whole bunch of people. It was like
Yeah.
hours and hours of speeches. So I caught probably like an hour and a half of that, and then went back and tried to go to sleep, and I couldn't because it's a different time zone, and I knew I wanted to get up at like 4, which is actually 1 in the morning, right? So anyway, went back, tried to go to sleep. The next morning on the 6th, I got up very early. I was going to take a scooter. It was kind of funny. I was going to take a scooter from my hotel to the Ellipse, which would have been probably 15 minutes on a scooter, and it was freezing cold. So I go out there, the scooter's out front of my hotel, and I'm punching in my stuff for it, and I've got a coffee in each hand. And there's this couple watching me. They're like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm going to the Ellipse. Are you going?" And they're like, "Yeah, you're going to crash." And I said, "No, I'm going to drink one, and then I'm going to have my hand on the scooter with the other one." And they're like, "You're totally going to crash. Share our Uber, like no charge, just come with us." So I ended up
Oh,
going with them, which is what I mean. Like everybody is just very nice, you know? So anyway, I ended up taking an Uber with them, and then we got there at I think about 5:30, 5:40 in the morning, because I had been to the Trump rally in Bullhead City, and I had gotten there probably 4 hours before it started, and there were thousands of people in line already. And I knew that
wow.
this rally was going to be in like an area, and I didn't want to go all the way to DC and not be able to get in the area. So anyway, I went super early, stood out there. It was windy, it was cold, it was really cold. There were no bathrooms, there was nothing to eat, there was nothing to drink, anything for hours.
Wow.
But everybody was nice. We had a good time. We made the time fly, told each other stories about, how were the lockdowns for you,
Yeah.
So anyway, just got to know like people in line. I never kept contact with anybody, but it was a cool thing. So we go in, and I got into the actual lips area. Um, I wasn't too far back. I'd say I was probably maybe 75 people back from
Okay.
the
Yeah.
from the front, maybe
Did you
100.
get a chance to listen to Trump's speech?
Yeah.
Oh,
So he kept not coming out, and they would just play more songs and get another warm-up speaker. And I was so cold, and my back started spasming. I got hit by a car when I was a teenager, so
oh
my back is
no.
like my weak spot.
Yeah.
So my back is spasming. I'm trying to bum Advil or something. And we had to leave our backpacks. You can't take them through security. Like Secret Service wasn't letting people in the ellipse with their belongings. So they told us like put everything under this tree. You can come back out and get it.
Oh.
But that's where my Tylenol was in my backpack. I didn't think to bring it in, right? So trying to bum something, Advil, Tylenol, something. Some lady gave me expired Advil that didn't work, and so I ended up actually leaving early. I left the
Oh
speech
no.
early. I went to the back, like we were all standing kind of in a dirty, muddy field, and then I left the to the concrete area near the porta potties, and I was just trying to stretch my back on the bike racks that they had there, and that wasn't working. I'm like, I'm done. I'm gonna go back and go to sleep. Like I'm done. So I go out, I go to try to find my backpack, and the tree that I left it under with hundreds of other backpacks, there's nothing under the tree. So I'm like, where's my stuff? Where's my backpack?
Oh
Like
no.
this isn't like this isn't okay, So I'm asking Secret Service. They're like, oh yeah, the trash guys came, they picked everything up, and oh my gosh. So then I heard somebody in the crowd. Everybody was like, a lot of people had left a little early, and they were all trying to find their stuff. And it turns out they had just moved it like a half a block down or whatever. So
Oh my
finally,
gosh.
after much looking, I found my backpack, took my Tylenol, and by that time I could still hear the rally, but that's not where my attention was focused. I was focused on finding my backpack. So anyway, the crowd starts coming out, and then there was this giant flag. There's a video of it
Oh yeah.
that
Yeah.
I sent
Hang
to
on. I'll
you.
pull it up. Yeah, let me
Am
pull it
I
up.
able to talk during the video? It's a
Sure, you can
short
talk.
video. So
Sure.
let me just tell you about the flag. So
Oh,
the flag, you'll see it's absolutely gigantic. And I
hmm
am an amateur photographer. I've been featured at county fairs, stuff like that. Like photography is my hobby. It has been for decades. And so
hmm
I thought this is amazing. Like this is super patriotic. I just want to like video and photo this flag. This is awesome. They had uh oh, I forget what it's called. What's that Jewish horn?
I have no idea.
A shofar. So a
See,
shofar.
I wouldn't, I don't even know what that is.
So there were people under the flag blowing a shofar. Anyway, so I wanted to follow the flag to get photos and videos of it. So
I
if you
like
want to
that.
play my
Follow
short
the
video,
flag.
follow the flag.
All right, let me pull it up.
Okay.
That's pretty awesome.
It's giant. So as you can see, like this is not an insurrection vibe at all.
No.
This is not like people running to go like storm the Capitol or whatever. Like,
Right. No, it's not at all.
that was not
It
the vibe at all. So
it seems
anyway,
like a
I
pretty
followed the
amazing.
flag. My Tylenol was kicking in. I'm like, I'm just gonna follow the flag. So I follow it. We end up at the Capitol. Like that was not my intention to go to the Capitol. So we get to the Capitol. I arrived at the Capitol at 2:33, and
Wait,
the signs and the
can we
fencing
back
were
up as
gone.
1 second? Let me
Okay,
ask
yeah.
you.
Sorry.
I have two questions. Number one,
Sure.
did you get to hear any of Trump's speech?
Yeah, yeah. I heard probably the first at least a half hour.
Oh, good. And then
Yeah,
secondly, what made
probably more.
you decide to go towards the Capitol?
I was following the flag.
Oh, because you were following the flag and the flag was on the way to the Capitol.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I'm saying, yes, we should follow the flag. Well, actually, yes, we should. Anyway, continue. Continue. So you're
Okay,
going,
so when I got to the Capitol, it was 2:33. By the time I had gotten there, there were no barriers. There were no do not enter signs, no trespassing signs. I looked up and all I could see was a sea of humanity. So there's a picture of that. It's called Lawn and Scalers, maybe.
yeah, let me pull that up. Uh, yeah, so
Yeah, so
that's
are
what you
you
said.
able to zoom on this at all?
Sure, I can
So,
zoom.
so when I looked, yeah, if you could bring it down and zoom in a bit. So when I looked, I see all these people on the lawn. I have no idea this is a restricted area, right?
Sure,
And you
you
can see
stumbled
the
upon this
people.
or what?
What?
Did you stumble upon this scene?
No, when I got to the Capitol, like that's what it looked like.
That's what I mean. That's what you just stumbled upon the scene. This is what.
Yeah, no, I mean, I knew we were going to the Capitol,
Okay,
like many blocks out.
sure.
But that was not my intention to go to the, like, I didn't go to DC going, I'm going to go to the Capitol. You
Right.
know, I didn't leave the speech thinking I'm going from the speech to the Capitol.
Oh,
Like
right.
that
That
wasn't
wasn't the
my
plan. You just wanted to
my
follow the
plan.
flag.
Right. So, but I didn't care that we went to the Capitol, but I'm just saying that was not my intention for the day, was to go to the speech and then go to the Capitol. That's what I'm
Sure.
trying to say. So if you
Yeah.
can zoom in on this,
Sure.
like,
More?
yeah, to the wall.
Oops. Yeah. Whoops. Let me just make it as big as it will get.
So
All
you
right.
can see there are people scaling the wall. I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
most people have seen that photo before. So that was the first time I thought, like, this is weird. Like, there's something weird going on. Like, there are all those people on the top, right? On the Upper
Mm,
West Terrace. I didn't know that's what it was called at the time. But I
yeah.
thought those people didn't get up there by scaling a wall. So there must be stairs somewhere. So why are these people scaling a wall if there are stairs? Like, it
Right.
just struck me as odd, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely.
anyway, that's what I saw. So then zoom back out.
Yep. Well, It zoomed in instead. Hang on.
Oh, that's okay. We don't really need it. You can remove it.
No, I'm
So,
just.
so to the left of there, uh, there was like more hillside, and then I went to the top of the hill, and I was standing at the top of the hill. Um, you can't even see like more to the left than what is in this picture. And
Yeah.
so I stood there for a while, and I was just kind of taking everything in, you know, doing some video, doing some photos, and then all of a sudden, like all these officers in riot gear had formed a line, and they were walking right past me. And
Hmm.
like, what's going on, you know? And when I had gone to the Trump rally in Arizona and to all those other rallies, the pro-Trump and the reopen California rallies, like there was never a time with a massive police presence except once in Beverly Hills. And that's when we had counter protesters show up. And so SWAT came in, a bunch of different local cities brought their police officers in. So the counter protesters, it was all over Twitter. They were stealing the backpacks of the Trump supporters and like ripping flags out of people's hands. And that's the only time I've seen a large police presence. So in my mind, they're there either because something went sideways, which was not their vibe, like they didn't seem upset or rushed,
Mm-hmm.
or they were there to protect us in case anything did go sideways. Like that was my
Gotcha.
thought of why they were there. So if you want to go to the next video, it would be Walk to Upper West Terrace with DC Metro.
Oh, walking with DC Metro. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've got that one.
So wait, before you play this, this is kind of
Mm-hmm.
funny. I don't watch my footage, and I was picking out things to show for this, and I hear myself say, "Sorry, man." And that was me on the video saying sorry, man, to the officer because I had my Trump 2020 flag on a telescopic flagpole, and I was walking so closely with them that my flag blew into the officer's face while he was walking.
Oh, I
And
have
I
the
was like,
Sorry
oh,
Man
sorry,
video.
man.
Should I play it? Should I play
Yeah.
the Sorry Man video?
Yeah. The
Okay.
sorry, man video.
Sorry, man.
Sorry, man.
Sworn to defend against enemies foreign and domestic. We're not.
So that was it. That was the vibe. That day, I never saw any violence whatsoever. I heard people chanting some, you know, like yelling things at the officers, but that's like the most crazy thing,
Can
the
do you mind if
most
I play the
escalated
other off?
behavior that I saw that day.
Do you mind if I
Hmm?
play the other officer one? Because I have a question for you.
Which one?
The DC Metro officers, where they're
Oh,
supposed
we're
to
not there
rush.
yet.
Oh, we're not? Okay.
No,
I have a question
so
on
I
that one.
walk with these officers, right? So
Uh-huh.
I'm walking alongside them close enough that my flag is blowing into the guy's face. And I follow them up this little staircase, and then we went around the north side of the Capitol and then around the corner to the west side. So now we're on the Upper West Terrace. So in that photo where the guys are scaling the wall, now
Yeah.
I'm at the top of that wall. Now I'm on that area above
Oh,
where they,
that's where you are. You're up there
yeah,
at the
now
very
I'm up
top,
above. And so
which
I
is
went,
up
and
here.
the DC Metro officers staged, like they walked all along the west side, and then they staged in an area behind bike racks, and there's several people, several officers deep. And I went and I stood next to them because I trusted them. I trusted that if something went sideways that day, like I'd want to be near an officer. I'm like,
Yeah.
I've always been a very back the blue kind of person. Like I'm the one who buys the cup of Starbucks, you know? Um, so I trusted that if anything went sideways, it would be the right place to be, is near the
Hmm.
officers. So you can
Yeah,
play that
I mean,
video.
that's a natural feeling where you feel like you're safe if you're close to wherever the police are, especially with a huge
Absolutely.
event like that. Like,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah.
I get that. Yeah.
So you could play that video,
All
the
right.
one you
So,
want to
yeah,
play.
sounds good. And then, yeah, I have a little question on this because I was playing it earlier and I'm like, what? Let me just, I'll play it.
Jorge Adams' shift flying to the country.
Yeah, they're pretty calm, aren't
They
They're
wouldn't
just
be
kind of
standing
standing
there if they
around.
wasn't out of the office.
They're just kind of standing around.
Right.
But yeah, I have a question. Who's this guy? Is that Ray Epps?
No.
Oh, it's not? I'm
No.
sitting here playing this video and I'm like,
No, it's not.
oh, okay.
No.
All
So,
right.
so yeah. So the thing is about me standing next to them, which has been a hard thing for me to process about this day, is that I stood next to them because I trusted them, and not one of them told me that I was breaking the law. They never called a riot. They never called an unlawful assembly. They have the technology in DC to do a giant broadcast where all of us could have heard it
That
saying,
would have
you know,
been, yes.
if
That
they
would
had
have
done
been,
that, I would have left immediately. I didn't know. I mean, if you watch this video, like you can hear a couple people saying, remember your oath or whatever. But aside from that, I don't perceive animosity between the crowd and the officers. And
right.
again, I saw no violence that day whatsoever. So
Interesting.
anyway, so I stood near them for probably about 20 minutes. And then if you want to play the next one, let me just set it up for you. So in the crowd that like the people around me, like there was no violence. There were a lot of people just standing around. And I should also mention at this point that I had no cell phone reception whatsoever. So it was impossible to know
So
anything
nobody
that was
could have
going on.
contacted you to say, hey, I know
Right,
you're out in DC. I hope
right,
you're not at the Capitol.
right. Yeah, nothing. I had zero cell phone reception. The FBI said that's because the towers were overloaded, which kind of makes sense because people's streams were getting through, you know, some people's. So I was, at the time, one of my best friends, probably don't want to say his name, but he had almost 300,000 followers on Twitter. And he knew how many people wanted to go to DC to support President Trump and speak out against the rigged election. And I told him I was going, and he said, well, if you can get any photos and videos, you know, just send them to me, tweet them out to me, and I will repost them. So that was one of my main goals of being on Capitol grounds, is to get footage. So anyway, I had like 119 photos and videos
Wow.
from that day. So yeah, gave the FBI a
Wow.
lot to look through.
Yeah, I bet you did.
So
Oh, that's
anyway,
incredible.
yeah. So if you want to just show like the vibe of the crowd around me, play the next
Yeah.
video.
Yeah. Everybody's holding flags, standing outside,
And the fucking traitors!
venting.
Gas
That's a great video. That's a great video, Danean.
Yeah, thanks. I have a lot of them just like that. So,
But that's
so if you
that's
look
your
in this,
experiences. That's what you experienced.
yeah,
So
this is what I experienced. So if you see
before
those
you
three,
got there, though, the Capitol had already been breached, right? So if we look at the timeline, what you were talking about,
yeah,
the
but I didn't know
Capitol,
that.
right? That's what I'm saying. The
So, you know,
barricades were gone. It already happened. You had no idea.
yeah, so if you look at these three arches, you'll see, so first of all, you'll see door to the left that's up some stairs. That's the
Mhm.
parliamentarian door. So that door, somebody came out of that. They had been pepper sprayed. And I thought, well, I'm staying away from that door. Like, I don't know what's going on through that door. That's like definitely off limits, right? And then, like other sorry for like interjecting into my own sentence, but so one of the weird things I saw that day is people who I had seen people with pepper spray like after they had been sprayed, and people were going around yelling, "Who's got milk? Who's got milk?" And at the time, like I'd never been around anybody who's been pepper sprayed. So I'm like, why do people want milk? And
Oh,
it was to put in their eyes to make the pepper stop burning.
oh,
But
yeah,
like
I
I was
didn't
like,
know that either.
but people came here like prepared with milk, which like was also very
What?
strange. Yeah,
Wait a
yeah.
minute. So people were asking if anybody had milk, and there were actually people who
Who had
had
little
milk,
cartons of milk.
little cartons of milk. Now, did they have kids with them or something? Or
I don't know. I could just hear it in the crowd, and I saw milk being passed around.
that's
There
odd.
weren't really kids up on the Upper West Terrace that I noticed.
Yeah. Hmm. Were there kids in the crowd over by the ellipse?
Yes, and on the lawn. There were
Okay.
several kids on the lawn, like just playing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. That's
And
interesting.
they were
So what?
breaking the law as well.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
5-year-olds, you know?
Yeah,
They
5-year-old.
were in a
You
restricted
went to a
ground.
rally.
Yeah,
Uh,
so okay, so where are we? So that's the vibe of the crowd that I'm around. And then I hear somebody saying they're letting us in. And so go back to that 3 arches. Can you
sure.
get back to that?
Yeah, what was that? That was the outside vibe, right?
Yeah, that was the very last part.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah. So you see the 3 arches. So the arch on the right was where the breach of the building happened, where Dominique Pizzola and other people broke the window long before I arrived.
Hmm.
And then,
That's the same door right there, huh?
yeah, yeah. So like, see where this red Trump flag is sort of on the right, like right below that starts a handicapped ramp. So the ramp goes up like along the right side of this little like, you know, cut out, whatever it's called. Anyway, so there's a handicap ramp. It goes up, it jogs left, and then it goes straight into that center doorway. So there's a window on the left, a window on the right, and there's a door in the middle. And people were saying they're letting us in. So hundreds of us at the same time, not knowing how the door originally got opened long before we ever arrived, walked into that door. So you could play the next video.
Which one?
Oh, I'm
Number
sorry. That would be the one that's that I didn't send you properly.
Oh, number 5 though, from your Rumble.
Granted entry. Yeah, that one. That one.
Okay. Granted, oh, is that the same as the granted entry one?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Come out.
Turning it down a little bit.
So if you look on the left, well, when I turn that way, you'll see a bunch of officers just standing around.
Oh yeah, back in the back there.
Yeah.
In the far back. Yeah.
So that was the vibe. We walked in. I still wasn't talking to anybody in the crowd or anything. So I walked in alone, hoping to get some cool footage. And that was the vibe. We didn't like rush the Capitol Police to get in the building. We didn't, break through a barricade or
And nobody told you you couldn't go in.
No, I walked up the grass. I walked with the DC Metro officers. I stood next to them for 20 minutes. I walked in an open doorway in front of Capitol Police officers where there's obviously no animosity between them and the crowd. You'll be able to see that in the next video. So go for that.
I have a question.
Sure.
I could hear that like alarm going off in the background.
Yeah, there is a fire alarm going off.
So was that not a clue of maybe?
You sound like my prosecutor. Yeah.
Sorry.
Like there were alarms blaring. How did you not know you weren't allowed to go in?
Well, that doesn't, nothing says you weren't allowed, but weren't you wondering why that was going off?
I don't. It's so hard to think back almost 4 years ago as to what was going through my mind, but I don't remember it even being on my radar that there was an alarm going off. There was a lot going on. And so the whole time that I'm walking like up the ramp and then I'm walking through the doorway, as you saw in this video, I'm seeing everything through my phone. So I'm not taking in like the whole surroundings of everything. I'm seeing everything through my phone.
Gotcha.
So, and trying to pay attention to the length of the video, because I knew that it would be hard to upload it for my friend to post to Twitter, and
yeah,
so I was trying to keep all my videos very short. So I'm not only looking just through here, but I'm also looking at my time on my video.
Yeah.
So there was a lot that I think I didn't process. I mean, obviously that I didn't process, because I didn't see the guy wearing the gas mask like until I went through my photos and I was like, whoa, I saw that. Like,
oh, wow. Interesting.
Like didn't even register to me at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a very hectic, complicated day, and just a really lot to take in, especially when you are jet lagged and you've slept for like 2 hours.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it was a lot. So anyway, so play the next video and you can see the Capitol Police and sort of how they're interacting and how the people around me are behaving.
Yeah, the one where they're standing around.
Yeah. People are still flowing in.
Yeah, and some are going out.
Yeah, some are going out, some are coming in. Capitol Police are just standing there, hands in the pockets.
You know what's really sick about this? Is that...
You want a list?
You went to prison for walking in the door, looking around, and leaving.
Yeah. Yeah, so when I went in the door, so to my left are these officers, to my right is a hallway. So I walked probably at most 30 paces into the building. I got into the hallway and there were a ton of people in the hallway, and I'm not really great with crowds and enclosed spaces. So there was like a little cutout for an office door or whatever. The door was closed, but I just kind of like stood inside that cutout for probably 3 minutes, I want to say. And then the Capitol Police officers asked us to leave and we left. And so I was like 30 paces inside the building. I was in there from 3:09 to 3:17. I was in for 8 minutes, and when the officers asked me to leave, I left and I went back out and I stood where I was standing before, near the DC Metro officers. I filmed some more, and then I decided it was time to go. Like, nobody told me to leave the grounds. I knew that people were saying that Mayor Bowser had called a 6 o'clock curfew, but this was not even 4 o'clock. This was like 3:30, and I decided to leave. As I was leaving, there were some more strange things. Like, having been at all the Trump rallies and stuff, I know that Highway to Hell by AC/DC is not really a song you would hear at a Trump rally or a
No,
pro-Trump
yeah,
rally. And somebody was blaring Highway to Hell. And I thought,
really.
yeah, like as soon as I got out of the Capitol, like the vibe of the crowd just seemed different and not violent, still not violent, but definitely a different vibe after I got out of the Capitol. So I stood around for a few minutes, and then I walked back the way I came, you know, down the side stairs, down the hill, and then walked back to my hotel. I got about 3 blocks away from the Capitol toward my hotel, and my phone starts blowing up with texts and voicemails. And so I look at my phone, and my friend, actually a customer of mine, was the first one I saw a text from. He lives in New Hampshire, and he's like, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yeah, you know, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, I know you're in DC. You're not near the Capitol, are you?" I said, "Yeah, I'm just leaving there. Why? What's up?" And he's like, "What do you mean, what's up? Like, there's like violence and mayhem everywhere. You need to get out of there." And I'm like, "No, there isn't. I
Wow.
was just there. Like, what are you talking about?" So I checked some other texts. Everybody's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, what? Like, yeah, I'm okay. I was just
Wow.
there." Like, that's not what I saw at all.
Right.
So I'm not saying there wasn't violence. There was definitely violence, but not where I was.
Right. That's crazy. You know,
Yeah,
there were, that's interesting because, I mean, yeah, we saw the videos of some of the stuff that happened, like the window getting broken in before you arrived there.
right.
But most of the mayhem was caused by the police. They were the ones who put the pepper spray out there and those little bomb things they were throwing into the crowd.
You know, it was a very complicated day, and what I want to focus on is just what I saw myself. I have a lot of thoughts about what went on that day. Um, I know for sure, based on court documents uh, and filings, that there were undercover officers in the crowd. There were,
Absolutely.
you
Yeah.
know, undercover officers who were chanting and cheering people on. Um, there was a lot going on that day, and I'd rather just keep it, you know, to what I saw.
Yeah, there was a lot of shenanigans. So,
So if you could just bring up my FBI statement of facts. Um,
is that the charge?
no, it's a photo with blue highlighting on it.
Um,
No?
you did not send me a photo with blue highlighting on it.
Oh, shoot. If I send it now, will it get to you? Or is it too
Sure.
late? Okay.
Send it to me and then I'll bring it up.
Okay. Wow, I'm so sorry. I thought I sent you everything.
That's
All right.
okay. It happens.
It does happen.
There's
This is only my third
you
interview.
should see me trying to
Fourth.
get ready for podcasts. I'm like, oh yeah, where did I put that thing? And you
Okay,
guys always bear with me.
so I just sent it to you.
Okay. Sounds
So
good.
this is from my FBI statement of facts. So when you're charged with a crime, FBI writes up this thing saying these are the charges and these are the reasons that these are the ways that we can prove that the defendant actually committed these crimes. So the FBI writes up this thing with your charges on it. And in my charges, did you get it?
Yep, it takes me a minute to download and then get it into
Okay,
StreamYard.
sorry.
All right, go ahead.
So in my charges, you can even see, so what this is it's a screenshot from a video that I posted to my Gab account. So I'll get to that in a minute, maybe. So the FBI, so they wrote this up. So it says a video posted on McAndrew, that's me, on McAndrew's Gab account, D-Restored, shows a man in a dark hooded sweatshirt, dark Under Armour beanie, and light blue bandana circled in blue below, who appears to be fist bumping with Capitol Police officers. So even the FBI acknowledges that it was a non-adversarial engagement, if you would even call it that, like
that's true.
interaction between the officers who stood there as we walked into the building and the people around me. So that came up several times in my trial, because I was saying I have no mens rea, I have no guilty mind. I didn't intend to break the law. So yeah, so they offered me a plea deal, and they said, "Oh, you know, we'll just charge you with parading, and you know, you have no criminal history whatsoever. You're an upstanding citizen. You committed no violence. You know, didn't assault anybody. Like, we're only charging you with misdemeanors. If you plead to this, chances are you're going to end up with just probation." But in order to plead to that, I would have to lie under oath and say that I knew I wasn't allowed to go into the building. And I honestly did not know I wasn't allowed to go into the building. I would assume that any one of those 100 or so DC Metro officers could have told us that we were breaking the law by even being on the premises. And certainly while we go in through a door, any one of those officers could have said, "Hey, you know, instead of fist bumping with people, probably they should have said, you know, you're committing a crime and you can go to prison for this." None of them did.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
so you had
my
to speak
trust
the truth.
in the blue, while I still have immense respect for the people who protect us and risk their lives to keep us safe, I honestly have I have a hard time processing that. I feel very betrayed.
Yeah, I totally get
for what
that.
it's worth. Yeah.
I totally understand that. I mean, I can't fully understand because I'm not in your shoes, but it's how do you reconcile the fact that these people who know that they have our support, actually. But you know what? There's bad seeds in every group, including
and the way
the
it
law
goes,
enforcement.
according to the narrative, is that we overwhelmed the officers, and the officers had no choice but then to try to de-escalate the situation. But I believe, I know in my case, if they had just said you're not allowed to be here, I would have left. And I can't imagine that there weren't a lot of other people who have been charged, especially with nonviolent misdemeanors, who, if they have been told this is an unlawful assembly, or you know, you're not allowed to be here, I have to believe that there were many like me who would have left.
For sure. I'm just gonna share a couple of comments. So Magnolia was thought it was fascinating to see your video. Pocket Friends said it sounds overwhelming. Herbie said, "Thank you for sharing your story, Danean." Yeah, it's interesting to hear step by step, like how you got there, what made you decide to go, which is very inspiring, and how you ended up there and how you accidentally ended up at the Capitol because you were, you know, so intrigued by that flag, which is amazing, and it's just very unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
And just going back to that whole following the flag, like, even if I had thought, like, I'm going to go from the ellipse to the Capitol and I'm going to go protest at the Capitol, I absolutely have a right as an American to do that.
Right.
So I'm not trying to say, like, you know, oh, I was just following the flag and I didn't mean to go to the Capitol. It's not because of that. That was just my mindset. But if I
Right.
had intended to go to the Capitol, it would have been absolutely in my right as an American to go express my opinion and to air my
Absolutely.
grievances.
I hope you didn't take my comment as that, because what I
No,
was
no,
just
no. I just
saying
didn't
was
want to be
just the
misunderstood.
circumstances. Like, then you followed the
Mhm.
flag, then you ended up at the Capitol, then, oh, they're letting us in,
Right.
and suddenly, just as somebody hanging out one
Yeah.
day to try to speak your voice,
Yeah.
you
So,
end up in
after
prison.
that, they charged me with 4 nonviolent misdemeanors. I don't know if you want to put that up real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
So the first two are called Class A misdemeanors. Each one of them has a maximum of 1 year in prison. The second two, the picketing and disorderly conduct, was like,
What
like
did
these
you do that
charges
was
are such a
disorderly?
joke. Like if you read them, entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds, but I would have to have done that knowingly if you read the whole thing.
Right,
Disorderly and disruptive conduct. Okay, I was not being disorderly or
right.
disruptive, but they say I was because I was apparently, like not letting people do their jobs or whatever. I was a raindrop, as the judge in my case would say. Disorderly conduct. Don't feel like it was disorderly. I was not parading, demonstrating, or picketing. In fact, I had my telescopic flagpole collapsed and I had my Trump flag rolled up and under my arm, my left arm, because I was focused on filming. So I absolutely was not picketing or
Isn't that
parading.
interesting?
Yes. So
Yeah.
anyway, so those were my charges. So then um, I'm hearing the narrative, and my family's telling me, like, what did you do? And like I walked into an open building, and then people are like, I met a guy. This will go too long, so I won't tell the whole story. But through a chain of events, I decided I'm not going to be silent anymore. Uh, I know they're doing 6 a.m. raids on misdemeanor defendants. So I there you go. I decided that I was going to post my footage to Gab, my friend with the giant account, picked it up, and it went far and wide. But I felt like I had to tell my story, and
Hmm.
the FBI says this isn't a factor, but it's the FBI. So my personal feeling is that I wouldn't have been arrested that early. So the FBI showed up at my doorstep on September 28th, 2021. They had started their investigation of me in mid-April. I posted my footage February 22nd. So like six
Wow.
weeks later, they got an open investigation on me.
Yeah.
And then they came September 28th. I self-surrendered to be arrested and taken into U.S. Marshals custody on December 1st of 2021.
That's
I
crazy.
went to trial over a year later. In January of 2023, I had a bench trial. For those who don't know, um, I refused the plea deal. I didn't want to risk a DC jury. Nobody was having any kind of good results and still aren't. Um, so I decided to take my chances in front of the judge and just hope and pray that she would see me as a person and see my heart that day.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I went to trial. She convicted me on all 4 counts, and then I was sentenced on August 8th to 3 months in federal prison, and I self-surrendered to federal prison on October 17th of last year, and I got out January 2nd. So I served 78 out of my 90 days. The prison that I was in is now been shuttered because the former chaplain, the warden, and several of the guards have been convicted or pled guilty to sexually assaulting the female inmates. So in order to avoid oversight, a judge ordered oversight of the prison because of how bad the rapes were. And the BOP director, Colette Peters, within a couple days, ordered the prison abruptly shuttered. And so all of my friends that I made in prison, none of them were January 6ers. There was nobody in while I was for January 6th. Some people asked me that. So all of my friends have been scattered throughout the country. And anyway, so I am finally going to be off of federal probation, supervised release, it's actually called, on New Year's Day, in 5 months, like
That is
160
so
something days.
exciting.
So yeah,
Oh,
so I'll be able to
then
travel and talk to my
okay.
friends who were in prison, are in prison.
Yeah, because you're not allowed to talk to any convicted felons, right?
Right. Yeah.
That's kind of crazy too. But I'm
Yeah.
so excited because you know what? That's going to come by super fast. We're in the middle of election season and we're going to be all pumped up about that. And then the holidays will come and then boom, you'll be done.
And I
So
won't be in prison this Christmas or New
you
Year's or
won't be in prison
Thanksgiving or
this Christmas.
Halloween or Veterans Day, or
That's
I'm going
right.
to be out for all of those.
And I
I'm like
grabbed
Lassie.
a picture of your rock
There you go.
because the best is yet to come. You know, I pray for you, Danean. I really believe you deserve a pardon one day, and I think it will come. But like you said, you can't predict the future. But at the same time, I just want you to know that what you've been through is horrible. And there are thousands, like, they're still arresting people.
They're still arresting misdemeanants like I am.
Yes.
Like not even people charged with assault or,
Yeah.
just misdemeanors like me. So I'm sure the people who were there and walked in like I did have been really scared for almost 4 years now, 3.5 years.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
wrong. It's wrong what they do.
It is
It's
wrong.
wrong.
And
Like I tell my friends who don't agree with me politically or whatever. They're on the other side of the spectrum or whatever, if you want to call it that. And I told a neighbor, and she was asking, where did you go? And I said, oh, I went to federal prison. And she's like, no, really? Where have you been for 3 months? And I'm like, no, really? I was in federal prison. And so she comes across the street. She's like, what? So I told her briefly my 1-minute story of the day. And I'm watching her processing it. And she looked at me and she said, but they burnt down cities.
yeah, in 2020,
Yeah, but it was
summer.
weird to have somebody else say that, like somebody process it like that, like in real
Someone
time,
that's
to
not
watch
in
her
your
process.
echo chamber.
Yeah,
Just,
and then she's
yeah.
like, and then people are doing smash and grabs and they just let them out.
Yep.
And I said, yeah, and I've never been in trouble. Like,
Exactly.
I'm 56. Like at the time I was 53, and I have plenty of time to get myself thrown into prison. So
Yeah,
whatever.
it's pretty sad. It's
Very frustrating.
And it's not even
It's
about
wicked.
politics. Like, it's people who do small things are getting like all these charges against them and having to go to prison, and then these people that commit violent crimes are getting let out of prison. What the heck is going on?
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you live in a country where your DOJ has been turned against you and weaponized by the government, and
Yep.
there are 2 tiers of justice, and they want to silence people. They want to make people scared to go out and rally. They want to make people scared to speak. They want to make them scared to speak online. They want to make them scared to speak to their friends and neighbors. I've got friends who, for the first couple years, like they wouldn't even talk to me online, in email, over the phone. One lady who's, how old is she now? She's probably 82, 83. She said, I can only meet you for coffee. Like she was scared to even speak to me.
Wow.
Because she knows that I've been hunted by my government.
That's
and
horrible.
She didn't want to be associated.
Yeah.
It's horrible what they've done.
But you have to, like, I hope people can remember to trust God and only fear God and not fear man. There's so much they instill fear. It feels intentional, and people need to
Absolutely.
not
They
fall
benefit.
for it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, it's hard, people don't want to go to prison themselves. They don't want to lose their jobs. They've got families or whatever is going on. But at
So
the
just
same
really
time,
quick about that. So after the assassination attempt on President Trump, my phone was absolutely blowing up because I'm the one out of all of my friends who never wavered in my support for President Trump. Like I love him. I think he's the right man for the job. I've never wavered in my support, even like in prison or whatever, at all.
right.
So when they tried to kill him, people called me, like not just to check on me, but how do I process this, So
Right.
anyway, my favorite call out of all those calls is my friend who's a good friend, and she's been very timid. She's got a lot of friends who don't agree politically, so she just doesn't speak. So she called me and she was cussing, and she's like, F it, I'm done. I'm speaking. I don't care. I'm done being quiet. And I was like,
Good.
that's amazing. Like,
That's what we
so
need.
that is what we need. We need to just keep, like even this hat. So America first always. Like, I live in Southern California. I wear this hat like before I got my new hat, which is more bold. Anyway, I've worn this hat for a couple years now, and it's a great conversation starter. And it gets, people to engage with me. I can talk about policy, about President Trump's policies, about the importance of keeping America first. And so, like, even if you're scared to speak out, like, wear a hat. It's not that scary.
There you go. Wear a hat.
Wear a hat,
Yeah.
wear a shirt, just
But
speak however you can speak.
it's
We
a
need to
sad,
speak.
yeah, it's a sad state of affairs that we have to say, be brave and speak up.
Yeah,
That's pretty
yeah,
sad because this is America, but
yeah,
do it. Be
yeah,
brave and speak up.
yeah.
So,
So that's
yeah.
kind of all I have to say. How long did we go? An
We
hour.
went longer than you asked, but I'm sorry. Your story was interesting. So,
I have it
no,
down
but
to like a 2-minute version. When people comment on my other hat, I tell them my 2-minute version.
oh, you have a 2-minute version?
Yeah, but it doesn't come with video and pictures.
No, it doesn't come with no, and we really appreciated you sharing your pictures and video. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
no,
it's
thank you
important.
so much, Danean, for you can hang out after I play the ending video, but thanks for, sharing your story, for starting to speak out more. I know, you've been a little quiet and that's okay.
I still
Uh,
had some court issues that weren't resolved.
yeah.
I just wanted to make sure those were behind me,
Yeah, I
you know,
totally get that. I
before
totally
I,
get that.
you know,
Yeah.
but I'll speak to
So I'm
anybody who
glad
will
those are
listen.
over and it's all going to be behind you come January.
Well,
And
parts of
we're
it'll be
praying.
behind me.
Yeah. No, but I'm praying for you and I really
Thanks.
appreciated you coming on. So thanks again, Danean. It's good
Thanks
to
for
see
having
you.
me.
Okay.
Appreciate you.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thanks for listening, guys.
I can see clearly now the rain is gone. I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's gonna be a bright